Good evening, Black people and all allies fighting for Black liberation, Black prosperity, and Black joy. I'm Nayyera Haq. Welcome to Prime. We'll start with this data point. 6,000 firearms confiscated by TSA, 86% of them loaded. And the most common excuse? I forgot. Because who among us has not forgotten they had a loaded firearm when approaching law enforcement? Well, Congress has taken notice. Yesterday, the Homeland Security subcommittee held a hearing on this topic. Republicans suggested more signage about the restrictions. That would solve the problem because we haven't seen enough warning signs at airports. Democrats suggested stiffer fines and actual accountability. Earlier today, I had the chance to chat with someone who knows about all things Homeland Security, TSA, and guns, former U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson. There are thousands of guns out there trying to be moved through TSA checkpoints, even though flights are down right now. So what is going on with this increase of guns?
That's a good question. Guns were being seized from carry-on luggage at an alarming rate when I was secretary 6, 7, 8 years ago. I was stunned that virtually every day at airports in this country, somebody would try to bring a loaded weapon onto a commercial flight with the excuse, I forgot it was there, or I didn't know, and so forth. And now the numbers of seizures are even higher. Reportedly, it's because people forget that they had it in their carry-on. I think it is no accident that these seizures tend to occur in states that have permissive gun laws. And I find it hard to believe that someone can forget that they're carrying a weapon through an airport after years and years of TSA being present, reinforcing the message that guns are not allowed on commercial aircraft. I hope it is not because travelers think that they can somehow get away with this and escape our detection.
There are Republicans right now in Congress that are pushing for legislation to make sure there is no-fly list for people who have come into confrontations on flights or tried to bring guns on planes. How do you react to that?
We are a free society. We are a democracy. We have certain rights and liberties. Misbehaving on a commercial flight in this country is not one of them. The 9/11 was over 20 years ago, but it was a reminder of the importance of aviation security, aviation safety, screening every passenger who boards a commercial flight. And we can't lose sight of that. When you're flying, you're vulnerable. And you're vulnerable to other passengers as well, including people who refuse to wear a mask, including someone who might be traveling with a weapon or who acts out and engages in disruptive, dangerous behavior. And so my sense of those who are resisting a no-fly list, resisting further regulation of this kind of behavior, is simply playing to a political base. I don't believe that these proposals are serious, nor should they be considered serious.
They may not pass muster, but it does seem they're quite serious about protecting a certain group in America because they were perfectly happy to create a no-fly list post 9/11 when it came down to people who look like me, had names like our family members do, and we still suffer from that no-fly list. So why the disparity?
I don't dispute that. And incidentally, most of the problems people have with getting off a no-fly list are matters of mistaken identity, a spelling of a name, a misspelling of a name, someone with the same name as somebody who ought to be on the no-fly list. I can't remember the percentage, but it's an extraordinarily high percentage of people. And very often that falls on people of a certain nationality. And we've got to do better in that regard. If you're calling out the double standard that seems to exist among politicians in Washington right now regarding a no-fly list, I think there is definitely something to that.
And then you layer in that there are people who are Black and Muslim, right? So you get the driving while Black, flying while Muslim conundrum, which brings me back to the idea of guns. We have seen so many videos in recent weeks of legitimate gun ownership among Black men, yet they can't seem to even pick up a gun in self-defense. So what does that tell us about where we're headed with gun culture in America? Who is actually allowed to have a gun?
I've been saying for a long time that we are far too permissive when it comes to guns in America. I believe in the Second Amendment in its proper interpretation. I believe in certain contexts in which someone has a right to have a gun and perhaps even should own a gun. When I was Secretary of Homeland Security on the Arizona-Mexico border, I would meet ranchers who owned weapons simply to protect their families on large property. I get that. But it is far too easy in this country to have an assault weapon. And we live in a society where the double standard that you just cited is far too prevalent. The men and women I know who work for TSA work very hard in extraordinarily difficult circumstances. When I was secretary, the starting salary of a TSO was something like $18,000 a year. They're not unionized, and they take a lot of grief from passengers. When I was secretary, to try to raise morale within DHS, every once in a while, I would literally put on the uniform of a TSO, of a customs officer, and work alongside them at airports. No, none of the passengers recognized me. And I took all the grief that they take on a daily, hourly, minute-by-minute basis. It's a difficult job. And I believe that our TSOs do extraordinary work in difficult circumstances to keep all of us safe when we fly. And it's the same when you're on a flight. The flight crews do an extraordinary job to keep us all safe during the flight. And we seem to be forgetting that.
It's a general culture change, right, of the respect that we give to anything that represents government, the social contract, the need to behave a certain way in public. Before we let you go, if I can just get your broader reaction to how you've seen things change since you served as Secretary of Homeland Security more than 10 years ago versus now, in terms of how the anti-government narrative, the extremism that's taking root.
During the 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency, we've seen now a rising tide of what I'll refer to as anti-democratic behavior that carries some virtue in certain quarters. January 6th was not legitimate political discourse. Yet, simply because somebody labels it as such, there are a whole lot of people out there on social media who buy this stuff who are prepared to believe that. Contrary to what your own eyes show you, in my judgment, it's the equivalent of saying the World Trade Center did not collapse on 9/11. Yet, because of where we are right now in our society, an increasing number of Americans are becoming detached from reality. There was a poll recently, and I'm sorry to carry on, that 15% of Americans ascribe to the QAnon theory, that our government, financial services, our media are run by Satan-worshiping pedophiles. That's a highly disturbing fact. And you've probably seen the polling that suggests that a certain number of Americans will be willing to resort to violence if they feel that an election did not come out the right way. The trend lines are very disturbing to me.
Secretary Johnson, do you have any doubt if that crowd at January 6th at the Capitol was black or brown, that things would have turned out differently that day?
I have no doubt that if the crowd had been black or brown, things would have turned out differently that day. Ask yourself whether if Kyle Rittenhouse had been a black man wandering the streets of Kenosha, Wisconsin that night with an assault weapon, whether he would have been greeted in the same way by the police there. I think all of us who've had the African American experience know how to answer that question.
Former Secretary of Homeland Security and the Obama administration, Jeh Johnson, thank you for joining us and for your candor today.